Allison Lawrence for the weekly Montana Volleyball Press Conference. I want to start by just kind of doing a check-in at just past now, I guess, the midway point of the conference season, but coming off a tough road trip, but a lot to look forward to in the back half of the year. So kind of where do you see your team standing through 9 games?
I think we're in a great spot. I think the conference is crazy as ever. You're seeing a lot of upsets and a lot of just unpredictability from teams. So it's an exciting place to be. I think we've had our ups and downs and inconsistencies as well, but we're really ready for to kind of hit our stride. Not to continue hitting our stride, but also like find new levels to our game as we head into this back half.
I guess maybe just some, final thoughts about Sac State and Portland State, two tough teams. You beat Portland State at home last season, and some teams that are pretty competitive in the Big Sky. I guess what could you say about them and those games after you guys have come back from a pretty long road trip?
Yeah, definitely a long road trip. Those teams are tough, and Sac at home is particularly tough. I think their home record over the last couple of years is really strong. So they play well and physical and fast at home, and I think there were moments when we were executing really well. That first set, was unbelievable, but as Sac kind of found their rhythm in their game too, it kind of knocked us back, and you kind of felt in the match things kind of really go in and out for us as Sac just got more and more solid. So I think that's a good. Portland State was similar. We had better chances, I think, against Portland State in moments, especially in the third set. We had a lead and kind of let it slip with a string of errors. So I think we're feeling like we're putting ourselves in position to do things and win sets and at least close sets out. And it's just the execution down the stretch to do so. But I thought we served and passed better in both gyms than I don't remember last year, but just in my memory of serving and passing in those gyms, which are typically pretty tough, I think I was proud of how we showed up in that regard.
And then in terms of preparing with two really tough opponents, I guess, how does that kind of set your team up for this incoming matchup against Montana State in a pretty packed environment at Brick Breeden?
Yeah, no, I think it was great to have such tough competition this week, and I feel like that's just every week in the Big Sky, really. And so I think what makes that trip tiring is the logistics of just the extra flight and, the long travel in between. But we feel rested, we feel ready to go, and, we want to be measured against the top of the conference and be, we want to be executing consistently. So we left feeling really hungry to be a better team and a different team. In certain moments, but I think we feel like at our core we know what we're good at, and we're ready to bring it this week.
Knowing that you have Montana State, one win against Montana State on your belt this season already, and you're carrying in the win streak, I guess, what does the preparation look like this week going to Bozeman on Friday?
Yeah, I think in Griz Cat in this rivalry, the prep kind of looks similar each time, not in the sense of, the X's and O's. That is dependent on what they're doing, but I think just we really want to put our focus in the place that we choose and in the most productive place possible. And so there's just a lot of extra distractions in this week, and I think this team's really good at setting those aside and focusing on what matters. And I think they love playing in that environment. They draw for this match over 6,000 people, and that's a fun environment to play in, whether you're the opponent or the home team. So we're ready.
Just to piggyback off that, when your team kind of embraces that role where everybody's kind of booing them, and I know they set a record last year when you guys were in town, just what is that like? What is it as from a coach's perspective, seeing your team kind of embrace that role?
Yeah, I would think it focuses you into a singular mindset of it's kind of us against the world. You can kind of lock into that gear pretty easily when you're hearing the crowd boo and all that stuff. And I think you ask any athlete, what environment do you want to be in? And it's the one where the stands are full and it's loud and you can barely hear your teammates next to you. I think that's the stuff that gives you goosebumps and makes you drive so hard to be at your best. But it's definitely it builds cohesion when it's just you having each other's back in there. So they always prepare well and they always play well in that environment. I expect the same this week.
4 and 5 in conference play right now. It seems like home's treating you well, and the road's been kind of difficult. 4 home games left. How much can a game like this against Montana State maybe spur you guys during the latter half of the conference schedule?
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one in terms of that, in terms of kind of getting us on in rhythm as we head back into home and spend more time at home. But also just every win in the conference right now is key to like positioning in the conference tournament and making it into the conference tournament. I think just there's so many teams vying for, spots 3 through 8. And I feel like we're going to end up with a lot of ties and a lot of splits. And so we need to be as far ahead of that conversation as possible, but also in that conversation in every way. And teams we've lost to on the road, we need to make sure we're doing things to get them at home.
What's it like second matchup as far as like X's and O's wise, and kind of the cat and mouse game of maybe wanting to switch things up, but they might expect you to switch things up, so you're not, what's that like from your perspective?
Yeah, you try not to play too many mind games with just, okay, how many ways can we anticipate each other a little bit? And, we're always watching film on them. We watch film on everybody extensively, but especially we're seeing the matches they play. We're always scouting opponents that they're playing, when we're on the road as the travel partner. So I just feel like we've watched them a lot. They've watched us a lot. I think it's in this match, it's less so how are we anticipating tendencies and more how do we emotionally prepare and show up to execute our game. And then everything tactically after that, kind of adjustments in game happen. So yeah, sometimes we get down some rabbit holes, but mostly we stay focused.
And then obviously there won't be a lack of energy for this week, but this time of year, you've played a lot of matches, you got a lot to go, the weather's turning, people get sick. Like, what's kind of like pushing through maybe this part of the season?
Yeah, I'm thankful that this match is right now because of that. I think October for every fall sport can come with a lot of extra just fatigue. It's midterms, the weather's changing, like you said. We're kind of in the middle of everything, and so you're not quite like motivated by the end yet. And so I think just the mental toughness to push through the middle is huge. So when you're playing, one of the biggest games emotionally of the season, then it kind of propels you and launches you into November and closer to postseason in a good way. So it's needed and it's wanted right now. Oh yeah, thank you guys. Happy Monday.